Hey everyone, Wiggles here. Are you a fan of all the PvE that Black Desert has to offer? Well, in this list, I'm going to go over the top 10 classes for PvE in Black Desert. These classes are top tier picks for not only leveling, but also grinding in some of the hardest areas. This list is what I personally think are the top 10 PvE classes. Comment down below if you think any of these should change. I'll pin the best comment if I think some other class deserves to be here instead. Let's get started, shall we? Number 10, Megu. Megu is one of Black Desert's newer classes and has a ton of very appealing animations, whether you choose to go the Succession or the Awakening route. Megus have a ton of AoE from far range, with enough utility to get yourself to a safe distance. The amount of sheer damage they can do is insane, offering this class a definite spot on this list. And they can definitely grind with ease, even in some of the hardest zones in this game. I prefer playing the Succession Megu over the Awakening, but both can technically be a top tier grinder. You have a ton of area of effect as this class, and you'll be very surprised how much damage this class can actually pull off. Oh, and you get an awesome Spirit Wolf to watch you as you explode your enemies. Your range grab can prove to be a very valuable tool if you ever get yourself in a pickle. Number 9 goes to Lawn. Lawn is a class that can swing her pendulums or their crescent blades around in various ways to constantly deal high amounts of damage to their enemies. The best part is that the rotations don't require you to break your fingers while playing. The rotations are relatively easier to pull off and can deal a very high damage output. Lawns get a ton of attack power passive buffs, and they have enough utility to help them efficiently grind in any zone. I prefer playing the Awakening Lawn, but I know Succession is the typical choice here. Succession gets a bit more when it comes to raw damage output, and their cooldown management is a bit more user friendly. The best part is, you can fly as a Lawn. Who doesn't love that? Number 8 is Wusa. Wusa came into the game as a storm that you couldn't help but notice. Her PvE style is very fun to pull off and turns into a very engaging way to grind in this game. Wusa has a ton of mobility, and just like Megu, they have several different area of effect spells that can really devastate any mob of enemies that you face. They get good passive attack power passives, which helps you scale into late game easier. Their sheer amount of damage, mixed with a variety of quick cast area of effect spells, puts this class into the top 10 classes. They have great survivability, and you can move from mob to mob very easily. Definitely pick up this class if you're into PvE in this game. You'll be surprised just how great the Wusa can be. I suggest playing the Succession Wusa, but Awakening can do a ton of damage too. Succession dominates when it comes to area of effects to easily destroy high amounts of monsters at the same time. Their purple and nature-based skills are very fun to watch destroy everything in your path. Also, the butterfly step skill is super fun to use. Number 7 has to go to Striker. They have many different skill rotations you can use to destroy all the enemies you face. Both Awakening and Succession offer for a really fun and engaging grinding experience in this game, even though both those pillars are quite different. Where Striker shines is in his main damage output. You may not have as much speed as some other classes, but that doesn't mean you can't efficiently grind from mob to mob still. You get really useful accuracy and critical hit passive buffs, and not only that, but Striker is really good with sustain when they're at some of the hardest grinding zones. You can kill large groups of enemies very fast. Awakening and Succession are both fairly equal in PvE. Succession does tend to be slightly better in most endgame PvE spots though. Awakening is the easier option for all around PvE and is typically the better option for PvP since you have more protected skills, better CC options, and an extra grab. Even though Awakening is a bit easier to pull off early game, Succession starts to shine when you head out to some of the harder grinding zones. Succession does tend to have a higher action per minute than the Awakening form, but once you learn the proper rotations, this class will destroy everything in their path. Personally, I love playing Succession Striker. Using Twisted Collision, a Striker's Q, is a really fun way to make your groups of enemies wish they weren't NPCs. Number 6 has to go to Nova. Nova is a really underrated class, but I think that's mostly because her early game leveling could feel a bit clunky. Once you learn how to Nova, she's very strong in many different grinding zones, including the endgame spots. Her actions per minute can be a bit higher with her cooldown management, but getting past this and learning the proper rotations allows this class to shine. And I mean shine. She can be a crazy fast class while dealing great amounts of damage, or she can be a shield-based destroyer, quickly killing enemies with her multiple ways to deal area of effect damage that turns the tides of fight around really quickly. Whether you choose the fast Awakening style or the sustained Succession style with high AoE damage, this class won't disappoint. Personally, I like playing Succession Nova in PvE since it's a bit easier to pull off, but if you have the aptitude for it, Awakening is probably the best way to go. I warn you, it could break your fingers, but that's what BDO is for, right? Awakening is fast and deadly. I love how Succession Nova and Awakening Nova feel very different, allowing you to change up your gameplay style by a lot. Succession offers for more sustain and easy area of effect damage, while Awakening offers for faster melee gameplay with many different combat variations to outmatch your foes. Number 5 goes to Warrior. Warrior is an insanely good class. Some people would be upset not seeing them even higher up on this list. They've always been one of the best, and right now in Black Desert, their power isn't any different. Warriors have many different gap closers, allowing them to travel from mob to mob efficiently. The amount of raw damage output they can dish out is nearly unmatched in this game. Whether you choose Succession or Awakening, both versions of the Warrior have many different ways to deal good area of effect damage while also being able to sustain themselves in the toughest mobs. Awakening has an easier time grinding than Succession, but that doesn't mean Succession can't do wonders in this game. Succession trades for more defensive capabilities, whereas Awakening is all about more damage and gap closing. They're also a savage PvP class, so if you're interested in that aspect of the game, definitely pick them up in your next season. Warrior is one of the original classes, and it's clear that they're always going to be a great class in this game. Let's just hope there isn't a nerf hammer. Number 4 goes to Musa. Musa shines with their speed, sheer damage output, and knack to burst enemies down. Both Succession Musa and Awakening Musa is a strong class and deserves a spot well on this list. Musas are insanely fast. No matter if you end up choosing to play Succession or Awakening, Musa will not disappoint. Musa can burst down enemies very fast, and they can do it quicker than most other classes can. So as for the preferred spec, this really comes down to how you want to play it. Some higher end zones rely on bursting down mobs instead of tons of area of effects. Overall, Succession Musa is better as bursting with high damage numbers, and Awakening is better for many different area of effects to take down groups of enemies. Awakening's 360 area effects can be very useful, but also Succession's high damage burst can come in handy as well. Personally, I like playing Awakening a lot, but I know Succession is insanely powerful and is arguably way better for high-end areas. Musa is super fun how you can just zip across the map with little effort. Number 3 goes to Archer. Archer is a really fun class that turned into a top tier grinder in this game. Even though they can be quite squishy, they make up for it with their insane amount of damage output. They have a lot of variety when it comes to how they want to eliminate their enemies as well. The archers have several area of effects that deal very high damage. They can burst very well, and they have enough utility to move around the fight without even being touched. That being said, you do have to learn how to play them in order to be effective, or else you can die in seconds. But the archer can make up for that with how fast they can take down their enemies. As for the spec for the archer, there's only one to choose from, which is Awakening. They seamlessly switch between their great bow and their crossbow, allowing you to grind very effectively in various ways. Archers look crazy when they're dashing around the fight while exploding all the enemies around them. Definitely give them a try if you don't know what they're all about. I just made an Archer class review video, and I highly recommend the class. Number 2 goes to Berserker. Berserker is a big wrecking ball able to destroy enemies in all tiers of gameplay. Berserkers are unmatched when it comes to combined tankiness, damage, and mobility. The best part of all, they have a low amount of actions per minute while still controlling the battlefield. Berserkers are really fun and chill to grind with and have high sustain, allowing them to grind virtually anywhere. Other classes may be able to deal more damage, but as a Zerker, you literally are leaning back in your chair with your feet up, pulling nearly the same numbers. Many people prefer the Succession side of Zerker since you get that amazing spin to win spell, but other than spin to win, there are many other reasons why Succession Berserker is the typical choice here. Awakening can still keep up, but it definitely takes a bit more effort to keep up with the Succession Berserkers. Succession Berserker has been dominating the game for a long time now, and I couldn't see Black Desert doing too big of a nerf to them for them to go away in the meta. Give this class a try if you're curious. You'll enjoy it a ton. Berserkers have great AoE and very high damage output. Last of all, number 1 goes to Guardian. Guardian is an insanely powerful PvE class. Guardian has many different options for high area of effect damage and can sustain themselves excellently. Some people would even say that their PvE sustain is unmatched. I don't know who, but some people say that. It was me. Guardian has very powerful area of effects with low cooldowns, and in Awakening they have several skills that heal them for a really good amount as they grind around in the game. Succession offers for even more sustain while also giving you a lot more variety in how to kill your foes. For PvE, I definitely would recommend Awakening until the very end late game. Awakening Guardians make everything way easier, offering a low action per minute while still creating chaos and grinding very efficiently. Succession starts to become the better choice once you face some of the toughest enemies. I've heard that people say Succession is 10 times better than Awakening when it comes to very late game. They can have way more sustain and still dish out a devastating amount of damage. Stamina management becomes more of a thing in Succession, but once you get that down pat, you'll be a force to be reckoned with. The Viking class will not disappoint. Overall, even though some classes may be better than others at certain things, always choose a class that resonates the most with you. All the other classes I haven't mentioned can grind very well at this game as well. If you're looking for what I think are the top 10 most fun classes, I suggest checking this video out. I've also made many more in-depth class reviews if you're curious on a certain class. I'm still trucking along with getting to every class, so subscribe and stay tuned for more of those to come. I've also made a top 5 easiest classes video and a top 5 hardest classes video, and if you're curious, I'll link those at the end of this video. Check some of my other videos out. As always, please give this video a like to tell YouTube it's a good video so it can be shown to more people like yourself. Subscribe for more Black Desert videos as well. Thanks for watching this video, everyone. Cheers.